Okay, and welcome back to another Tech Tuesday. My name is Josh Voiles. I'm a instructional technology coordinator for MISD. I'm joined by the other instructional technology coordinator, Miss Sherry Harris. She's waving right there. And I'm also joined by the director of technology integration herself, Miss Isabel Espinoza, and she's waving right there. And today we got a great Tech Tuesday for you. We're really excited because we have today with us Jen Cousins, who's here on behalf of Book Creator, and she's going to be sharing some awesome stuff with us. So I'm just going to get out of the way. Jen, go ahead and take it away.
Perfect. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, everyone, for attending. I'm Jen Cousins. I'm our partnerships manager at Book Creator. So I work with all of our school districts on the west side of the country, which is mostly Texas. So I'm excited to be here today, and even more excited because the district has an opportunity. Everybody in the districts gets premium access to Book Creator. So if you've ever logged in before or played around with it, you might know that you only get 40 books. So now you have unlimited books, unlimited libraries, and up to 1,000 books. So I have been told that there's a lot of secondary teachers that are going to be on this session, and that's especially great for you because now you have the ability to organize libraries by class period, by student, and you can make up to 1,000 books. So lots of books to be made. So that's really exciting. And all of the other features that we'll go through, all the premium features, are now available to everyone in the school district. So this is going to be a quick session. A half an hour is very quick to go through Book Creator. So if I go really fast, I apologize, but I'm going to show you where all the resources are. So that way, if you get lost or you need help along the way, you'll be able to find those. But today we're going to do a quick introduction to what Book Creator is. We're going to explore some of the features. We're going to log into Book Creator and get started, and then also go through some of the resources to help support you. So really quickly, why Book Creator? Why would you use Book Creator? Well, in case you don't know, Book Creator is a tool to, in fact, create books. So your students can create books. You can create templates and books for your students. And the books have multimedia, voice record, video record. We have accessibility features built into Book Creator. So it's a great way to enable your students to be creative and to give them an outlet to kind of shine through with their own personalities as well. So first of all, I'm going to share this with you. So if you get time to watch the videos, I highly recommend it. But since we're going to go pretty quickly, I'm going to skip over those. But one of the things that we really focus on is bringing creativity into the classroom. So getting students excited about creating things, giving them a creative outlet so they can take something that they're already doing in class and give it their own twist. And one of the things that we'll go over are a lot of our accessibility features. So there's over 100 different accessibility features built into Book Creator. So we say, you know, preschool all the way up through high school and beyond, we have people using Book Creator in a variety of different ways. And because we have voice record and video record and speech to text, it really does enable students that maybe struggle to write or students that have a learning disability to be able to still tell their stories and express themselves. So we'll go over some of those features and you'll be able to see the different ways that Book Creator can be used for that. And then kids just love becoming creators. So once you finish a book, you get to publish it. And the published books can be shared out with the community. They can be shared out to the parents. They can be embedded in your school website. But the great thing too is you get the ability to see where those books have been read. So students can actually click on a map and see where their books have been read. So I know a lot of the kids that we work with will send it to their parents, their aunts, their uncles across the country so that they can see those little dots pop up on the map. Or we have foreign language programs that send books to other countries so that you can see that and have that kind of communication, that sort of pen pal program with a school, maybe in Spain or across the country. So that's really fun and exciting for the students. The other thing, it's super easy. So we'll go over it. You'll get to see it's really, really easy for students to use and for teachers to get started as well. And then at our core, education is the foundation. So our CEO actually created Book Creator many moons ago for his son who had a reading disability and struggled to read and struggled to write. And he really wanted to make something that would get him excited about doing those things again. And they created the iPad app, the original Book Creator. And that's where it all started. And he created this tool. And then all of a sudden, it turned out that teachers like absolutely loved it and started using it. And so now we work specifically with schools all over the world. But one of the things I like to tell people is, you know, we get recommendations all the time. Like, it would be great if Book Creator could do this, or it would be great if we could do this in our classroom. And all of those recommendations go directly to the team. And that's how we come up with any new features in Book Creator. So if you've seen Book Creator for a long time and you're familiar with it, you'll notice over the last year, we've made huge changes and improvements based on that kind of feedback that we get from teachers. So we'll get started here. Let's see. There's this video here, but I wanted to show you a couple quick examples of books that you can create. So I'll share this book if you get a chance to go through here. There's all sorts of different books that you can look at. And we've divided them by secondary and elementary. And then we also have student created books and teacher created books, because you can create templates for your students, or your students can create a blank book. So I just want to show you really quickly an example of a student created work. This is a book about literal equations. It was clearly created around the holidays because it's got a little Christmas theme to it. But the students actually used our collaboration function. So they worked together to create this book. And it's really fun. They've got their table of contents here, and then they have the different problems. So they explain what a literal equation is, how to solve a literal equation, and then they've created some examples for other students to complete. So super simple, but really creative way. And I personally don't think literal equations are that exciting, but if I had this book, it might be a little bit more fun to do something like that. So, and I think this is a great example of ways you can use Book Creator outside of just, you know, English, which is what I think a lot of people think of, but it's great for math and science as well. So this other example here, this is secondary, but I think it's really applicable. Grade levels, these students used our Canva integration to create books. So they did their Genius Hour projects. They all got to choose what subject they wanted to write about. And then they created these books, and they used the Canva integration. So you can see the books all look really professional and nice. And this teacher published the whole library. So when you finish a project with your students, you have the ability to publish a library like this, and then you can share this link out, or maybe print a QR code to it and put it in your classroom so everyone can see what your students have created. But I'm just going to pop in so you can see what one of the books looks like. And you don't have to have the app to read a book, which is another great feature. So they have their table of contents. One of the things you can do that the student didn't do is you can actually link a page to another page in the book. So when you create a table of contents, you can link it throughout the book. But you can see they have used Canva to pull in some different images. They used our text functionality. They've got the glossary at the back. We're excited. So just kind of a creative way. And so if you want to spend some time popping through there, you can take a look at some of these books that they made. And then one other way Book Creator can be used is really to be used sort of as a resource for students. So I always love this Battle of the Books. So this was Keller ISD. They took all of their books that were part of the Battle of the Books and they put it into a book. So the students can quickly see these are the books, and then read a little excerpt about the book, watch a video about the book, and then it linked directly to their Sora or to the ebook. So just a great way for these teachers to be able to, give the students this resource so they can go through and pick which books that they want to read. So great for that. Also great for a presentation tool if you're using, you're doing a presentation, because you can embed video. You can do voice record. So it's also great as a presentation tool too. So I want to get everyone into Book Creator really quickly. So I'm going to have you sign in. And if you don't want to follow along now, you can do it later. But what you'll want to do is go to app.bookcreator.com. I'm going to throw that in the chat. And when you get to that site, you'll see there are two different sign-ons. You want to be on the blue teacher sign-in page. If you sign in on this yellow student page, which happens all the time, you'll be prompted for a library code. So if you log into Book Creator and you get asked for a library code, you are signed in as a student. So you'll just want to sign out and then switch to teacher and log in on the blue site. So I'm going to go there real quick. And the first time you log in, it's going to ask you a bunch of questions, so just bear with it. Fill out the questions. It will ask you to create a library. Name that library whatever you want. You can always go back and change it or delete the library, but it's also going to pop you into the library. So once you get into the library, the way that you get out of a library is the little hamburger up here at the top. I feel like the first few times I used Book Creator, I just kept getting stuck in a library and I was like, how do I get out? So just click the little hamburger and that's going to take you back to this teacher dashboard. And I just want to show you a few things on here because like I said, we're going to go fast. So these are here for you afterwards to explore. The first thing up here is our Discover tab. So if you click on that, at the top of the page, you're going to see what we call templates or remixable books. So these are all templates that have already been created that you can use with your students. You don't have to do anything but assign them to the students. And there's a bunch of different subjects. So we have EL, ELA, STEM, digital citizenships. You can kind of browse through there if there's a topic you're interested in. But these getting started templates are a great way to get started with your students. So you'll remix the book. And once you remix the book, it's going to ask you to put it in a library so you can pick whichever one you want. But I'm just going to do this real quick so you can see what the books look like. So this would be a template that the student would use. And you can see all it's going to have them do is go through the different activities so that they learn how to use the features within Book Creator. So they're going to do a little About Me page. We've got instructions here. There's also a transcript. If they don't have a headphone to listen to the instructions, they can read the instructions. And it'll just walk them through using all the different features in Book Creator. So that's a great way to introduce your students and get them started. So the top of the page is all templates for you to use. Down here are examples. So if you just want to show your students maybe an example of something else students have created, or if you want to browse through here to get different ideas of books that you could make in your classroom, this is a great place to do that. And beneath that, these are all of our lesson plan ideas. So science projects, science notebooks, supporting language learners, teacher librarians. These are just books for you to read through that'll give you different ideas on ways to use Book Creator. And there's Book Creator for high school, just tons of really good ones in here. Next to the Discover tab is the Learn tab. So this is a great place if you completely forget everything that I tell you to go back and figure it out. So how do I publish a book? How do I create text? These are all articles that'll walk you through step by step how to do everything. And there is a search function, so you can just type in what you're looking to do, and you should be able to find an article about it. Next tab is our certification course. So if you want to learn a little bit more after this, you can go through here. It's self-paced. It takes you through each of the different functions within Book Creator. And then at the end, you get a little certificate and a badge as well for completing it. So that's a great place to learn more about Book Creator too. And then the final thing here is our App Store. So we don't have a lot of time to go through it today, but the App Store are really just things in addition that you can add to Book Creator. So I recommend just going through and adding them all so you have access to it. And the way that you'll do it is you'll click on it and you'll hit Enable App, and then that will give you access to it. We kind of have to go through the workflow for this to make sense, but just know when you're ready to add your students, you'll need to go in and select the libraries so that your students have access. They don't automatically have access. So if you're worried about students getting access to Giphy, don't. If you turn on the app, only you have access to that. And Bitmoji is only for teachers, so your students don't have access to that. So just go through when you have a chance, add all those apps so you have them. And then I'm going to walk really quickly through kind of what the process is. So you're ready to invite your students to join a library. So what you're going to do is you're going to create a new library and you're going to name it whatever you want. And then you have these different things that you can change in here. So read through those. But my first and only real recommendation is to turn off read each other's books. So that way, when your students join a library, they only see their books. If you have this on, then they can see everyone's books and they may get distracted and just start reading books and stop paying attention. But this is nice at the end of the project if you want to turn it on, or even in the middle to be like, hey, let's look at each other's books, get some ideas, ask each other questions about what we're creating. You can turn that back on. But you'll create your library. And then once you have your library, if you use a template, it'll be in here and you can assign it to the students, which I'll show you. But you want to invite your students. So you're going to get your students into the library. So they're going to use this invite code, or you can email them the invite code or send them the link to it if you want. They'll be asked to join with the invite code and then they'll pop in here. If you have a book that you've assigned them one of those templates or a template you created, it will pop up in here automatically. So they'll see that and they'll know to start working on it. Otherwise, they can create a new book. We have all these blank books to choose from. We also have templates. So if you wanted to do like a group newspaper or a magazine, that's a fun collaborative project that you can do. We also have some like timelines in here and fantasy novels. So you can choose one of those. But for the purpose of this, I'm going to choose a blank book. And I always recommend picking one of the comic books because they have additional features that you don't get if you choose one of these. So pick a blank book. And then from here, there's really only two things that you have to learn. So the plus is going to add something to your book. The I, or the inspector, is going to change something. And I think this is the trickiest thing because when I first started using Book Creator, I always forgot. I'm like, how do I change the font? How do I change the background? Use the I button, or I often call it the I can, to help me remember. I can change the background. I can change the font size. So the I button is going to change something. So for example, if we wanted to pick a different background, we have all these different backgrounds we can choose from. I always like the paper backgrounds. So I'm going to pick a paper background. And then if we go to the plus button, we're going to start adding things to our book. So super simple. Let's start with an image. And maybe I'm making a science notebook. So I'm going to type in science lab. Also note here, there's a microphone. So if your student struggles to write, doesn't know how to spell something, they can always use the microphone to search for things here. So let's see. What image do I like in here? And also one thing to point out here is that first images are always going to be Pixabay, which is our safe search. And then beyond that, it goes to Google, which is an AI safe search. Hopefully your students don't ever find anything inappropriate, but occasionally students might find something, or maybe just something that you deem inappropriate, which case you can flag it. And if you flag it, it can't be searched anymore. So just to know that you kind of have the ability to do that. So if you ever have concerns, just flag it and then it'll bring it to our attention, but it will block it from your domain. So the students can't pick it anymore. So I'm going to pick this one and I'm going to add it to my book. And we'll give it a second to come up. So if we highlight the picture and hit the I button, you'll note that we can crop an image. So we have all these different cropping options. I'm going to pick this one. I'm going to crop my image. The other thing here, if you wanted to link to a web page or another page in the book, you can. And then if you want to add alternative text, If you're using the read to me functionality, it will read that. So as it's reading, it'll say picture of scientist. So if you have a student with a disability, that's a great accessibility feature. So I'm going to add that to my book. And now I'm starting my cover page. So I got my image, and the next thing that I might want is text. So if we go to the text box, we do have all of the language symbols. So if you're using Book Creator to teach another language, or your students are learning another language, this is really helpful. Math symbols for your math books. And then the microphone. So if you want to choose a different language, maybe you're making your book in Spanish, you're learning Spanish, you can choose Spanish. If you speak in Spanish, it will type in Spanish. So that's a great accessibility feature as well. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put it here. Got my title. And then again, if I go to the I, then I can change all of these things. So we've got a bunch of different fonts, but not too many fonts so that your students are going to get overwhelmed. And then you can also change the color. We have the eyedropper too. If you're a color person like myself, you can match the color to something. We'll apply that. And then you can always change the size and all those other things right here. So we got a title for our book. And the next thing that I might want to do is record. So I love the record option for a few different things. You can record instructions. So if you're creating a template for your students, record the instructions. And as you saw, you can put little transcripts on them too, so they can read them or they can listen to them. But it's great to save you time. So I'm also love it for students because I think having them practice reading what they're written is really important, especially if they're doing stories or something creative. Have them read themselves. So I'm just going to start recording. Science Notebook by Jennifer Cousins. I'm going to use my recording right here. And if I hit the inspector button, you'll see you can add transcripts as well if you want. So you can do the transcripts. I'm going to add the transcripts and then we'll come back to that. So there we go. Now we have a title page. Super simple, really easy. Few other things to note here. We have the camera. So if you want to take a picture, great if you're having students work on things. Maybe they're doing a science project. They can take pictures of all the things that they've created. They can also record video. So if they want to make a little movie or just an explanation, I think, you know, like with a math notebook, having the students explain how they came to that problem can be really helpful for you to know whether they fully understand the concept as well. And again, you could also record instructions or an introduction at the beginning of your book. Also here, I didn't go over it in the last one, but we do have a few different features under the pen tool. There's emojis. There's all these different pens. And then we also have auto draw, which is really fun. So if your students say that they don't know how to draw, they can always use the auto draw functionality. I did figure out what I was trying to draw. And that's a great tool to be able to add additional drawings to your book. And then we have all these fun like glitter inks and stuff that you can do. So that is the auto draw. Also down here, you'll see comic books. So we do have comic books for students to use. The comic books are super easy. We can add images to them, and it fills the space in. So that's a fun feature to be able to use as well. So there is, we'll give it a second to fill in. I'll come back to it in just a second so we don't slow us down too much. Under shapes, with the premium version, you have this little toolbox here. You can type in, for example, right angles, and it will pull up an icon. And so there's over 2 million different icons with the noun project here. So this is great for vocabulary words, or, you know, if you're doing a math notebook or a science notebook or something like that, these are great. You can kind of change the color of them as well. And then the next thing under here, are these, anything in this first row are boxes you can write in. So if you're doing an org chart or something like that, these can be really helpful. If you double click on them, you can type right in them. So that's kind of fun. You can also, if you wanted to give it a border, you could do that and change the color of the border, all those good things. So there you go. Go back to my comic book and see if my picture popped up. There it is. So you can see it's kind of fun the way that it fills in the space. And then we also have like fun little stickers and different thought bubbles you can use too. So kids love, I think especially like in high school and middle school, being able to make comic books about a subject. And if we keep going, the next tab is our More tab. So these are where all of those apps we added are going to show up. So we have all the different apps, Giphy, Bitmoji, Canva. I love the Canva integration. If you use Canva, it's amazing. So you can type in book creator covers, and they've already created all these amazing covers. So this is always a good starting point. And it's just like Canva. So you can change it the same way you do in Canva. You can edit everything. You can add elements. So just like you would in Canva. It's also got your folder here. So if you have projects that you're working on that you want to pull into a book, you can pull those straight from Canva. And it also has all the Canva apps. So if you want some sort of AI integration, maybe you want to use the Magic Write or the Magic Images or video, you can add those same apps. One of the apps I use quite a bit actually is Translate. So we always get asked, does Book Creator translate? It doesn't translate, although it does record in different languages. So if you need that, that's a good little tip to kind of add the Translate there as well. So the next quick feature here that we will talk about, let's see, is graphic organizers. So with the premium version, you get access to all of these. There's over 104 different graphic organizers. You can add them to your book. And then if you've made a template for the students, they're just going to come in and fill them out. So you can type right in there. So graphic organizers are great. And then right below that, you'll see here we have files. So if you want to pull in a Word doc or a PDF that you're working on, you can pull files directly into Book Creator. And then you can also embed. So you can embed anything into Book Creator, whether it's a YouTube video, and YouTube videos are great because it takes away all the links so the students don't get, distracted or taken off somewhere else or seen an ad that they shouldn't see. It only shows that video. But I use embed all the time. I embed books within books, or I'll embed an Excel spreadsheet into a book. So the embed tool is a great way to do some app smashing. And like really quickly, let's see. I'm trying to remember, how much time do we have? Are we getting close to the time?
We are actually out of time.
We are out of time. How did I do it so quickly last time?
I think you're actually showing more features, especially like for secondary, like the apps and all of that.
Which is great.
Which is great.
I'm learning a lot.
Well, sorry about that. Last time was record. Well, I don't want to take up any more of anyone's time, but I do want to just say really quickly, at the end of it, when you finish a book, the most exciting part is you do get to publish the book online. So you'll publish the book and then you get a link which can be shared. So you can use this link to send it to your parents, to post it on a website. You can create a QR code and print that out and put it somewhere where people can see it as they're walking into your classroom. So that's kind of the key component of all of this, is once you have created this book, it's sharing it with the world. So you get to publish these books and then you can read them online, and anyone can read them with any device. So you don't have to have the app to do it. So it's a great way to be able to share the content. So there, sorry it took so long.
Yeah, I think we ended great there, and that was on a good note as well. So once again, we just want to say thank you, Jen Cousins, for coming and presenting on Book Creator today, and we want to thank you as well for joining us. Whether you're watching right now with us live or you watch later on in our archive, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.